The sands of Egypt conceal buried treasure, forgotten over centuries gone by. Tombs containing wealth beyond our wildest dreams lie dormant beneath the desert, waiting patiently to be found. Despite countless years of grave robbers and tomb raiding archaeologists, mysteries are still waiting to be uncovered beneath the sands of the Sahara. My job, as a private consultant, is to find these places before the authorities do, and to extract the treasure from within them for my wealthy employer. Using new, advanced technologies, we can now penetrate through the sand to find these treasures from above. Like Superman, our digital eyes allow us to see what lies beneath the surface of the desert. Then, all we have to do is dig. Our crew was small, but heavy machinery made for light work. We unearthed load after load of sand until finally we hit stone. More equipment was brought in to stabilize the hole and keep the sand from caving in. Then we began to chip away at the ancient sandstone. The sound of the generator was loud in the night, carrying far across the desert, but we had paid off the local officials and felt relatively safe as we finally broke through to the other side of the thick wall. Much to my surprise, I found a staircase just inside. It seemed as if we had found the entrance to a cellar of some sort, or a tomb. I pulled out my flashlight and told the others to wait outside. "And that includes you, Santiago," I told my right-hand man. He had saved me from death more than once, often at his own peril. If something happened to me, I would need a rescue team. There was always the possibility of traps, but I knew what to look out for. The stairs led down into darkness so thick it was oppressive, the air cold and biting at this late hour of night. I pulled my jacket tighter around my neck and pressed forward, going deeper into the ancient place. I couldn't help but marvel and wonder at the fact that I was likely the first one down there for centuries. Spiderwebs brushed across my face, and I pushed them aside, feeling the critters moving away from me in fear. Soon the webs were so thick they were like white sheets, blanketing the passageway leading down. Fat, glossy black spiders hung from them, looking poisonous and terrifying even as they slept. I was about to brush aside a web when suddenly the floor shifted beneath my feet, and the step I was standing on tilted, as if built upon a massive hinge. My ankle slipped off the stone, and I felt it turn beneath my weight. I screamed out in pain as it rolled beneath me, and I began to tumble down the stairs, crashing through thick spiderwebs and feeling them blanket me with centuries of silky threads. Crashing off steps and against walls, I rolled down and down until I finally hit the floor. Something broke my fall, which sounded like dry parchment paper, with something sturdier beneath that. It reminded me of jumping into leaves as a kid during the autumn months, except for the smell and the bony, jutting angles digging into me. The powdery stink rose up into my nostrils, and I realized right away what the smell was. Mummies. Hundreds of them. I was in a pit full of corpses. Terrified, I thrashed and snapped a few strands of webbing which had wrapped around me during my tumble. but most of it wouldn't tear. I couldn't believe it, as I stretched and flexed and felt the webs were holding strong. The layers and layers of webbing wouldn't break. Centuries of spiders had built themselves an underground fortress, and as I had fallen down the stairs, I'd been wrapped up in their multitude of webs, like an enormous fly. It would have been comical, if not for the fact that I was deep underground and alone, in a tomb which nobody had entered for centuries. Spiders could be felt crawling on my face, down my legs, and towards my crotch. One of them was going down my neck, towards my chest, and I felt it go under my shirt. When I flexed or moved, trying to break myself free, I felt them begin to bite my skin. "Help!" I screamed up towards the crew, finally remembering I could call for help. "Send a rope down!" Crack. Something moved from across the room, as if something were stepping on the bones of one of the mummified corpses which littered the floor of this place. My eyes searched around in the darkness, and I saw there was no treasure here, no jewels or gold, only countless dead bodies, expertly preserved. I felt something shifting beneath me, moving as if alive. This can't be happening. This isn't happening. It's a dream. Now wake up! Despite the protests of my mind, the movements beneath me continued, and I heard another snap and a crack from across the room as whatever was coming towards me continued its progress. I began to pull and tear at the thick, tenacious strands of webbing near my hands. It was slow work, difficult due to my lack of mobility, but I eventually snapped a piece of webbing and felt as if I could breathe a little deeper and could move my arms a little better. Snap, crack, snap. Looking up again, I finally saw the shadowy silhouette of something moving towards me. Not just one, but a few human-shaped forms. The centuries-old dead body beneath me shifted again, like a man trying to sleep. My heartbeat sped faster as I tore at the strands of webbing, wrapping me up, pulling and wrenching on them with all of my strength. I bit them with my teeth and flexed against them, trying to break them, but the hundreds of layers held strong. The flashlight was pointed up at the ceiling, and I saw ancient images had been carved into the stone. There were pictures of people hanging from the ceiling from spider webs, their mouths open in screams of horror. What was this place? A memorial to some dark, forgotten arachnid god? Whatever it was, I wanted no part of it. Crack. Snap. There was another loud pop, and this one was the closest yet. Creaking bones and the mumbling groans of mummies were closing in, getting nearer by the second. With one final straining effort, the spider webs holding me in place snapped with a loud tearing sound. I took several gasping breaths of air and stumbled to my feet brushing spiders off of me as I ran across the corpse-strewn floor. With each step, I felt movement and heard the crunch of ancient, dusty bones breaking beneath my feet. When I got to the edge of the room, I realized there was a sheer stone wall going straight up, about 10 feet. This separated me from the crumbling stairs where I had entered. The entire room was huge, I realized, looking around. It was a vast pit, encircled by a stone wall, like a gladiator circle, a ring meant to imprison people, to force them to fight and die for the amusement of others. If there was one place where the spirits would be restless, this was it. I spun around to see a horde of mummified zombies lurching towards me, their low, groaning voices echoing off the walls of the tomb. The nearest one was just a few feet away, reaching towards me, when I felt something on my shoulder. I shrieked and tried to brush away whatever it was, then realized what it was. "Grab the rope!" yelled Santiago from above me. He had come down to save me, despite my warnings to stay put. "I told you to wait out there!" I yelled at him, grabbing the rope. He pulled me up quickly, just as the mummies reached out to grab me. A dry hand gripped my ankle and I cried out, then kicked it away. Then a moment later, I was up above the pit with Santiago beside me. Both of us were out of breath, panting, and looking at each other with wide eyes. "Let's get the hell out of here," I said, moving toward the stairs. "You don't have to tell me twice," he replied, hurrying after me. We rushed up the stairs away from the sounds of the 1,000 mummies, groaning and angry after their sleep had been disturbed. When we reached the surface, the heavy equipment operators asked us what we wanted to do. There were only a couple hours left before dawn. "Seal it back up," I told them. "This place needs to stay buried."